I am making this video in order to help others by answering common questions about guided sharpening systems, answers I could not find before buying mine. Also to help you understand what you will need as well as what you will not need, and to give you a true estimate on how much money you will spend on a guided sharpening system. Let's begin with choosing a specific guided system. First, check availability. How many websites or brick-and-mortar stores stock the guided system you are considering? If only one outlet offers the system for sale, this would certainly be a poor choice. Are replacement parts and additional attachments available? Are there different size clamps available? How much do replacement parts cost compared to other systems? Is the guided system compatible with sharpening stones from other manufacturers, or with aftermarket stones? This is very important. A guided system is useless without sharpening stones. Understanding the capabilities of different stones and knowing what stones you, as a beginner, will need is just as important as deciding on the guided system itself. As a beginner, you will inevitably want to do two things: sharpen knives and reformat knives. Reformatting a blade is changing the angle of the bevel. As you begin to understand more about sharpening, you will learn which angles are best for various knives based on the blade material, type of knife, the knife's intended use, and how frequently the knife is used. You will need coarse stones for both formatting and sharpening. When looking at coarse stones, you will find composite stones, natural stones, and diamond stones. My advice is to buy diamond stones, and I'll tell you why. Composite stones and natural stones wear down and become concave or tubbed out with each use. This doesn't mean you will be constantly throwing them out, but these stones will require a great deal of maintenance known as lapping. Using a lapping plate essentially flattens the stone so you can use it again. I will go into more detail later in the video and explain lapping. Diamond stones do not require lapping. This is extremely beneficial because you will use coarse stones more frequently than any other stones. From my personal experience, it is best to buy a set of diamond stones, 140, 220, 400, and 600 grit. When starting out, I skipped the 220 stone and later tried a natural stone. It works, but much more effort is required. You may be tempted to skip the 400. The 400 grit is extremely helpful with removing the deep gashes in your blade left by the 140 or 220 stones. If you want a mirror polish, you will want the 400. A set of 4 coarse stones, preferably diamond, will be needed to sharpen knives with a guided system. Again, diamond stones are faster than any other coarse stone, a lot faster. This alone justifies their price tag. Next, you will need medium stones. My definition of medium stones are 800 to 2000 grit. Depending on the steel, you will want to finish most blades with a medium stone. You may envision sharpening your knife to a 20,000 grit polished edge that will not only have a mirror finish, but will have an edge capable of amazing feats. You have no doubt seen countless YouTube videos with people slicing various types of paper to show how sharp their knife is. For most knives, this paper slicing edge will be achieved by a medium grit stone. I would recommend buying an 800, a 1000, and a 2000. Once you progress to medium stones, going from 1000 to 2000 is not time consuming. You will not need a 1200 or a 1500 grit stone. Of course, this doesn't mean you will not eventually want one. You just don't need one as a beginner. There are a few reasons to move past a 2000 grit stone. If the blade material will accept it, this is good for a knife you would display or for a knife you carry for self-defense. Stones higher than 2000 grit are not a good choice for work knives, everyday carries, or kitchen knives, as the blade will dull very fast. Let's say you pay over $100 for a 10,000 or 20,000 grit stone and spend over an hour getting the blade just right, maybe 2 hours. You simply cannot wait to hold that knife in your hand and slice some paper. Reality will be quite different than what you imagine, trust me. This had me stumped for quite a bit. I'm going to take a few minutes and explain something that took me a long time to figure out: how to get that paper slicing edge. Using this cheap kitchen knife as an example, I finished the blade at 20 degrees with a 20,000 grit stone, my most expensive stone. Yeah, I learned the solution for this from watching a video made by Jared from Neves Knives. Many steels, when sharpened this fine, will glide, as Jared refers to it. Under a microscope, no blade is smooth. Think of the knife blade as a saw blade. Many steels, when polished to that degree, have no teeth left to cut with. When I put the same knife back into the sharpener and go over that edge that took me forever to achieve, with just a few passes using a coarse 600 grit stone, this is the result. In my experience, Neves Knives is by far the best place to get an answer to any knife sharpening question. This is the standard I learned from Neves Knives, and it will help you too. Pause the video and screen cap or write it down. My advice is to buy only one stone over 2000 grit to begin your set. Now let's talk about some other important aspects of sharpening stones. To begin with, there are 4-inch stones and 6-inch stones. Either size will work, and some guided systems will accommodate both. The main difference is that you can sharpen faster and more efficiently with the 6-inch stones. Next, let's look at the difference in composite and natural stones as compared to diamond and resin bonded stones. Composite and natural stones need to be lapped. Diamond and resin bonded stones do not. Stone thickness is also something to take into consideration. This is where the quality of some products available for these systems is. Why should two coarse stones from the same manufacturer have this much difference in thickness? These two stones arrived in the same package delivered to my door, yet one has been mounted on epoxy while the other is glued tight. Thanks to this piss-poor assembly process, I am forced to adjust the slide between every single stone. For the price of these stones, a man should be able to go from 140 grit all the way to 600 grit without needing to stop and adjust the angle of the slide every single time. And how about Jinday's extremely expensive diamond resin stones? These do not require lapping either, and sharpen much faster than a natural stone. They look like they are the same thickness, but no, they are not. You will have to change the angle every single time you switch one of these out as well. There is only one reason these stones are not the same thickness: piss-poor assembly. If these were manufactured by someone who gave a shit, the customer will be able to progress from 140 to 220 to 400 and 600 grit diamond stones. Then place a resin-bonded medium stone, adjust the angle, and progress through several medium stones if needed, and finally set the angle for the strop. As manufactured, however, what should be 3 adjustments turns into 7 to 10 adjustments. The owner of Jinday never learned the 7 P's. Prior proper planning prevents piss-poor performance. When using natural stones, uniformity in thickness is not important because every time you use the stone, the thickness will change slightly. And of course you will need to lap them as well. Let's discuss lapping. If you are new to sharpening systems, it would be fair to refer to lapping plates as a hidden cost. If you want to use natural stones or composite stones, and you will, you must maintain these with a lapping plate. I chose the Atoma 1200 plate. It cost $100. Atoma offers plates in 140, 400, 600, and 1200 grit if you would like to shell out $400. I found that the 1200 works on all of my stones. Some just take a bit more time. I'm not going to give detailed instructions on how to lap, but basically, you cover your stone with pencil scribbles. Then you cover the lapping plate with water, and then rub the stone until it is flat or even. Lapping brings us to another quality issue, this time from the folks over at Gritomatic. Just about every stone I bought from this site was listed as stones are preliminarily lapped and do not require lapping after purchase. I've purchased at least 7 stones from this site, and only one did not require preliminary lapping. The 2 which were worst of all just happened to be the 2 most expensive ones. Plan on lapping all stones if you buy from this site. There are no shortage of off-brand angle cubes. Some are sold from knife sharpening supply sites. Avoid these. Most are not accurate to 1/10 of a degree. These cheap angle cubes have another flaw. They have a 4 to 5 second delay to display an angle. As you gain experience, you will learn the value of a quality angle cube. Please take my advice and buy a quality angle cube. I bought 3 magnifying devices before settling on this one. I found 30 times to be the best for general use, and this one has a large viewing window. It's available on eBay or Amazon and very inexpensive. It comes with a built-in light which actually works. Strops are next. My advice is to throw away those old rouge bars and buy a diamond emulsion compound. No more heating your strop over the stove to apply polish. I bought Gendays, but it doesn't matter which brand you choose. I went with 0.5 micron and found it works well. Simply rubbing the stropping compound onto the strop is the best thing since sliced bread. When choosing a leather strop, thinner is best. Thick strops give the appearance that they will last longer. In reality, they fold over your edge and do more to dull the blade than sharpen it. When looking for strops, you will inevitably come across nanocloths. I watched the company's video on how to load the nanocloth. In my experience, you need a day or 2 to fully load the strop, and certainly more than 2 coats. I can say that it works as advertised, a definite improvement from leather. What I cannot say is how long this thing will last. This is what it looks like after 5 knives, one of which having an 8-inch blade. Here is a list to help you understand the true cost of a guided sharpening system, as well as some things you will need as a beginner. I would further recommend getting a set of small bottle cleaners, a box of toothpicks, and a can of electrical contact cleaner for cleaning the knives up. I would also recommend this One Drop Wonder. I got this off eBay, and it really does work. A clear plastic ruler is also helpful. You will most likely find the need for a set of metric Allen wrenches and a torque set. If you buy cheap Chinese versions of these tools, you will save once and buy twice. On top of that, you will strip the screws in your knife. Of course, this adds yet another $100 minimum to the price of your guided sharpening system, if you do not already own these tools.